10:30 and we are back on the charts for the final session. Still on the Euro US dollar. Let's take a quick look at the left-hand chart, the 4-hour. We can see our smooth average still above the price. No madness overnight, which means we continue to be in sell trades. So we'll focus in on that 1-minute chart. That looks like a potentially nice run if you didn't get caught in the retracements. We wouldn't have been in on it though with our sell trades only. And if you were in on sell trades during the Asia session, this looks like a rough time for you. Entry, entry, entry. It continues. There's a lot of entries out there, maybe 7 or 8, possibly more. And barely a downtrend to mention along the way. Hopefully that's the end of that. We can zoom in on the current. There was in fact just a crossover before. I think that would be around about here. Wouldn't be knocked out yet, but wouldn't be any profit to speak of either. Before we start jumping in trades, let's have a look at our economic calendar. Numbers we've already had. Food price index month on month from New Zealand, up 0.5% against a forecast of negative 0.1. Food getting more expensive down there. Korean unemployment 3.0%. Not as good as the 2.8 previous, but they did beat the forecast of 3.6. Plenty of workers in South Korea. China's trade balance coming in positive $66.76 billion against the forecast of 41.72. And look at what we had at 9 o'clock. German CPI, 0% actual against 0% forecast with a 0% previous. And I can tell you that the previous before that was 0% as well. So they have been absolutely flat on their CPI in Germany for 3 months straight now. The HICP is at 0.3%, but still if the CPI figures are accurate, there's a very consistent reading that we're getting out of Germany. Well done to them. Quite a few numbers on the pound as well. Industrial production month on month 0.8% against 0.2% forecast. Manufacturing production month on month 0.5% against 0.4% forecast. Both those figures up on the previous and up against the forecast. They should be pleased with a bit of a beat on those numbers. Trade balance did come in at negative £14.9 billion with an expected of £11.58 billion. So not the best there, but the most crucial figure for them, the month-on-month GDP, and it was a really strong beat, 0.4% actual against negative 0.6 forecast. They should be happy with that growth as we see the quarterly come in at 2.9%. Those are our figures so far. Only one event left in the day coming from Europe, and that's 12 o'clock industrial production month-on-month for the Eurozone as a whole. Forecast at 0.4%, but we do get a very important US dollar number coming through at 3:30. That is the CPI month-on-month forecast at 0.4%. That'll be the one everybody's watching. It'll be very jittery if it comes in above 0.4% for some sort of vindication for the Fed if it goes a bit lower. Should see an influx of volume and volatility at that point. And that will likely be it for us. 4:30, you've got a Bank of England speech from Cunliffe. Not important. And then 9 o'clock, the Federal Open Market Committee minutes, along with the federal budget balance. Unlikely we'll still be trading then. A lot of traders do like to get involved then though, even though it's right towards the end of the day. So if you are in the markets at that time tonight, just watch out. So it's the CPI that will be honed in on of all the events today. But good to know what's going on elsewhere regardless. On the charts, we are seeing a breakout to the green. Currently it's taken out this resistance level and it's got right up to this one. Seems to be coming back down though. Might be rejected from this price. We'll watch for those lines to recross. Based on the previous 2 days, I don't think it'll be that long before we get a trade. And right we are. We do now see a crossover just about. The candles come green. But if we see any red, it's going to close this way. Let's pull up our ATR. Our ATR currently showing at 1.5 does give us some room when we get in this trade. But we're much more anxious about price crossing over the jawline. We get the close just about and you can see our risk calculated on screen. And of course, just because it's a new day doesn't mean that we don't go setting our stop loss and take profit on both trades, including our trailing stop loss, which we can also set at 45 points. So look at that ask price line. True vision of where we're at. Price is going to have to sink quite a bit to get to the take profit. Would have liked to have seen the stop loss above the resistance level, but realistically, as I say, the problem is closing across these averages. And that's exactly what's going to happen. 5 seconds to go on our first candle into the trade, and we will be shutting this off as price comes well above the jawline and well above all those averages. So let's close those down. There's our trades. We were in it for 1 minute 53 seconds and $64 down to start the day. We do see the lips recross the teeth and the jaw, so we might get an entry in just a few moments time. Let's hope the price continues its confusion and we see it come back through, but with a real sign this time, not a fakey like this one. Does mean we'll be playing catch up for the rest of the day now. Here we go, 11:01, and we are going to be getting into a trade again. It's a sell trade. Just a minute's time. We're definitely going to get that closed. We didn't have enough time to close down the ATR, so we don't have to pull that up again. Has gone down though, currently showing 1.4, and we are about to get the trade that we always dreamed of. We're back in again. Let's sell the market away. Price coming back up. Stop loss and take profit plugged in. When the alligator is choppy, it really does leave you in the lurch a bit. You either have to choose between losing your signal entirely when price recrosses these averages and they recross each other even. You either give it up then, or you risk it and you let it run. Neither option ideal, but we are seeing price come up here. And again, if it closes beyond the average, we'll be shutting the trade down again immediately, which is what's going to happen. Here we go. Let's close that out. And there we are. That is a second losing trade. And in the space of about 8 minutes or so, we're down $134.74. We do see that the lips are going to recross the teeth, which means we might get another entry signal just a few minutes or so. Let's look forward to that one coming. Price has been sneaking up over the last 15-20 minutes. Just come off the top now, we do start to see those moving averages turn. This second trade here, where we've manually closed, it would have been a complete loss. But we could really do with an indicator that only keeps us in one trade, or maybe not closing the trade when price recrosses the alligator. These two partial losses were more than one complete loss would have been. Either way leads to losses though. We're just trying to reduce how many we get. Price continues to break north. Nothing for us at the moment. And we see the lines cross there over the jaw, which means if we get the close, 55 seconds, we'll be in with a sell trade. Let's hope this is a genuine move. At least based from this candle, we've got a bit of gap between price and the jaw currently. That could all change in a moment's notice though. Let's have a look at the ATR. Current reading 1.2 pips. And of course our risk is on the screen now as we get the confirmation and we start selling it off. 36 points and 36 points. And same here, 36. And in that trailing stop loss, all the same there. Lacking in optimism based on this morning's trades, but we have seen momentum go quite a bit to the upside. If price has an overall range on it, it could easily come back down. We wouldn't need to get into new lows. Price a touch in our favor. Does look like it wants to push down. We see it go red there. And if we take a glance at our economic calendar, we can see that Eurozone industrial production month on month did come in negative 1.6 actual against 0.4% forecast. Pretty bad miss for them. And from China, we also saw a new loans figure coming in less than expected, 1.6 trillion against a forecast of 2 trillion. So the next one for us is that big one, CPI at 330 US dollar. But for now, we're focused on our trade, which had looked like it was going well, now coming back, reversing the fortunes of that previous candle. This is the move now. Look at these last couple red candles. Price is coming down. One more pipette or two. There we go. It triggers and our trailing stop loss kicks in as well. What a red candle. Biggest one we've seen so far. It's about to close as well. So it's going to be sustained. Very nice move. $45.60 on that one. Locking in some profits for the day. Let's hope this one can get some more. We don't want to see an immediate reversal of this candle. Although if it does that and continues, that's fine because it won't trigger the stop loss. But now that we are in with the trailing stop loss guaranteeing profit, we would like to see it move quite a bit more. Around about just over $100 would see the strategy back in profit as a whole. Started at 8,774. Currently now floating around 8,700. Let's get that move. Price coming back from that retracement, making another run for us. Price making a sudden sharp green candle now, not far from our stop loss. And it does get our trailing stop loss. Price with a big push up had been slowly trending that way, but at least we made money from it. The ratio trade beats out the trailing stop loss in this one. $45.60 for the ratio, $20.40 for the trailing stop loss. Still though, it's usually worth giving the trailing stop loss a go when you're trying to get those trends. It could have easily had a big drop off and get us even more. We might see another crossover though. We have seen the lips across the teeth. If we see price come red, we'll get in there. Coming into 12:42 p.m. and we should see, there we go, the lips do cross over the jaw. All we need is confirmation when this candle closes at 12:43 and will be another sell trade. ATR at 1.1. Price has come down quite a bit this last period. Feels when that happens like we've missed the move. But let's take the signal as we do get the close here. You can see our risk calculated on screen, and we can set the stop loss and the take profit. Well, this candle is still moving in our favor. Doesn't have to get to a new low today. Would have been really nice to be in at the start of this candle. And that would have been take profit already, but we are seeing the move. Look at the volume come into the market. We are almost there. Come on, let's take profit before we see a reversal on it. When you see a move like this, it can easily snap back just as much. So let's keep it going. But the serve has been returned. Now looking a lot more likely to be a loss. And that's the stop loss. There it goes. Would have taken profit just about had we been in at the start of the cross. Since we wait for the confirmation though, we got in this candle and we did manage to ride it right down really close to a profit there. Who knows where price is going to go. These V-shaped moves are so unpredictable. Keeps going up though. Really poor trade for us. Nearly $100 lost. And that puts us down $165.10 for the day. We're going to need a strong trend to get back today's losses. Never mind yesterday's as well. We are seeing the price right up at resistance level. And it breaks through in extreme fashion. Look at that price move. Could see more of that. Continues to push. If you've got a trading stop loss going north on this one, you're going to get some profits out of that. The breakout continues. Price on the rise. We're only sad that it's happened to the upside instead of the downside. This would have been a really nice move. We'll wait for that reversal. The moving averages do chase price pretty quickly. So even after a long uptrend, we can see it reverse pretty sharp. Price is ranging around this top area. Narrowly missed a crossover just a couple minutes ago. But if we see red candles come, that crossover won't be far behind it. Likely that we're going to see a crossover here. There it is. So we just got to wait for confirmation of that. It's still in this range up here. So this isn't giving us the most confidence in the signal. We'd want to see a breakout. Maybe price comes above the jaw before we even get the signal. Let's pull up our ATR though. And it's been very narrow. Only showing 9 pipettes, which means it will round it up or it goes up itself anyway. 1 pip. Is it going to go any more? Probably not. We'll go with 1 pip, which will be 3 pips to the stop loss. And we are going to get the signal, so you can see our risk calculated on the screen. Price did jump up immediately after we get in, so we're probably about halfway to the stop loss, just under that. Will this let us put it in? It will not. So our risk is $42.99. We'll have to manually close it off when it gets to that stage. Getting very close to a would-be stop loss now. And there we go. We have to close them off manually because that would have cut us off. We can see there exactly 3 pips, $42.90 lost. The risk was $42.99. Sadly, we've been led in here. Not surprising at all to us. We did say this has just been ranging, no action at all with it. The ATR incredibly low. These are all signs that this was going to be a weak trade. Something to think about. It could be an idea to say you're not going to enter the trade unless it's 1 pip volatility, because you know then that there is no action going. We do see it come back down. Whether the teeth are going to cross the lips, it's very close. About half an hour on now, 25 minutes past 2. At the moment it looks like we were cut out right at the top. We saw it come back down and range and drop again. If we hadn't been out, we would have taken profit. We could see that distance there, about 4.3 pips. Even with the spread accounted for, we just about would have snagged some, and our trailing stop loss would still be going. Still no signal for the minute. Let's see what price does next. After climbing for a period, we are now seeing it come sharply off the top. Just finished with a green candle, but a flash of red comes in there. If a few more candles come and they are not sufficiently green, we are almost certainly going to see a cross here. There's the crossover. Let's just wait for the end of this candle to confirm it all, and then we're in. ATR reading 1.2 pips. And here's a first. Even though we have seen the crossover, because price has closed above the jaw, we cannot take this trade. We would effectively be entering the trade and then immediately closing it. So this is no signal for us. It's very close though. Had the ATR pulled up ready, everything all set to go. What we don't want to see now is an immediate turn to red, because then these averages will not recross. We won't have an entry signal to get back in. Price is now pushing green though. It's the buying of the euro. So it actually seems quite fortuitous that this came up enough to get above the jaws. Getting in here, including the spread, that would have been a straight stop loss. We've seen the lines recross though, so we may see an entry signal if this wants to go properly red. With just under 50 minutes until the inflation numbers, we are now seeing a crossover. Not optimistic about this signal because the averages really have just been on top of one another for quite a while now. You can see the range and the whipsaw of price action that's been going on. Nevertheless, the signal does look as though it's going to come, and at least our ATR giving a nice reading of 1.5, so we've got a bit more to work with on the trade. There's our risk, a couple seconds now until the close, and we are in. Bit of a jump there. Let's fix that stop loss and take profit in, and our trailer there. We've got to zoom out to see our take profit level. There it is. Let's hope that we've got a true move now. You can see this horrible range that's been going on. And even if we get back to the top of it with this ask price stretching as far as it does from this giant spread, it will knock us out. This trade has been steadily moving into our favor as the inflation numbers hit now 330. We can see the volatility increases in our favor. We're immediately able to take profit there. Trailing stop loss kicks in. That's going to bump in, and it is going to snap back up and take the stop loss there. So within about 35 seconds of the release of the inflation data, we went all the way down to taking profit and then coming back up and triggering the trailing stop loss. There we go. So our trailing stop loss trade finished with only 95-cent profit, but at least we did make money again on this one. On these non-trending days, we've really seen the ratio trades do better than the trailing stop loss ones. It's what you'd expect to see, but we still have that $167 trend one that we did have with the trailing stop loss from day one that dwarfs a lot of these beats for the ratio. And the CPI number month on month does come in at 0.4% exactly as forecast, and they'd like to see it slow more than that, but it's not so bad that it's running way out of control. Price runs down a lot more. Would have been nice if we hadn't been knocked out. We did have 4.5 pips worth of return though, so it was a fairly generous ATR. We can see how it's spiking now though. It's already at 2.2 pips. And just for our records, the core CPI month on month did come out at 0.2% as well, exactly as forecast. Expect to see higher volume and volatility throughout the afternoon and into the evening time now. Doesn't look like we will get a trade anytime soon though. Price continues to push down. Would have loved to have been in this move. Just gone 4 o'clock. And we can see at the last 15-20 minutes or so, price very rangy. Still seeing a higher ATR, but it has come off the tops there. Got to about 4.5 pips, now currently showing 2.8. Nearly got a crossover from the lips over the teeth, but didn't quite come. Still seeing uncertainty in price. All of a sudden, though, only 5 minutes later, we do have the lips coming across the teeth. They crossed over very quickly. We've got an ATR at 2.5 pips, so it'll be 7.5 to the stop loss. Can see our risk calculated on the screen, and we are going to be getting in with this confirmation of a sell trade. This is going to be a wider stop loss and take profit. Both stop loss and take profit seem to be outside of the range, so that is quite nice to see. Well, it's nice to see the stop loss out of the range at least. And there's plenty of volume in the market still, which means a move could happen. The space that we've got to our stop loss won't be the issue, I would imagine. If we get cut out, more likely to be from price moving above the jaw. Has got about 3 pips worth of that, but we want a red candle. Don't stay hunkered up in here. Don't waste this volume on bouncing back and forth. Let's have a proper move. In true alligator fashion though, the price bounces back up in this range. It's going to close above the jaw, so we'll manually shut those down. Yeah, not a good trade there. $30 lost a piece. We did have a really wide stop loss to work with, but once these lines start getting on top of one another, your signal is going to lead you into a mess. We can see price pushing up pretty powerfully now. Really big green candles coming. And so again, closing it off on the reversal of the signal instead of waiting for the stop loss did save us some money. Another big bump in price here. It is getting into the highs of the day. If you got in on this uptrend here, it is going very nice for you. Gone 5 o'clock now. Since it peaked, price has really just been ranging. Again, the volume is still sort of there, trailing off a little bit, but we're not seeing a move at all. The lips and the teeth crossing back and forth over one another. Even if it stays within a range, eventually it'll drift into giving us a signal. And here we do see that, a couple red periods, and both the lips and the teeth move a little bit across the jaw. Assuming we get the close, we'll be in a sell trade at 45 seconds time. ATR currently showing 2.1 pips. That means you can see from our risk on screen that it's 6.3 pips to the stop loss. That's our confirmation. Let's sell it off. And a stop loss and take profit, why not? And why not a trailing stop loss to boot? Obviously we are in at the bottom end of the range, which means our stop loss is inside the price range that we're seeing. It's not beyond the highs of the day. Doesn't make us feel great. But hey, maybe this is the range down, and this is exactly what the Alligator's been waiting for. It's been holding off on a crossover until it knew the move was going to come, and that is what we're seeing now. Price definitely moving to our favor here. The take profit level comes into sight, and it only takes one big candle that's ever so slightly finished above the jaw there. Keeps moving against us. We've got to close those down, manually shut them off. Looked quite good for a second there. Did look like it was going to head towards our profits, but a range is going to range, and so it whipsaws back up above the jaw. And so that will be it for our final session. 8 trades today, 6 losses, 2 gains. Really weak day again. Let's zoom out and see all of our trades from the day. At least we weren't in this here. That doesn't look like it would be any better in the Asia session. A lot of trades, and if we were going to make money, it would have had to have been in here, but we got caught back out by the trading stop loss. That was 330 inflation numbers. If we hadn't been caught out, we could have got a really strong run down to that level and potentially had a trade around about the $100, $150 mark. As is, though, a lot of losses, a lot of false signals from the Alligator, and a lot of having to close down trades when price reclosed across the jawline. Here's what our 3 days look like on the 5-minute chart. Pretty erratic, a lot of trading. And there's our 4-hour chart. You can see this was all meant to be about the sell trades, but a lot of the time since we've been in here, it's been green candles on the 4-hour chart. Realistically, price is just ranging even on this chart. I'm sure the Alligator wouldn't do so well there. And for the day, we do finish down $306.98. Not good results, obviously. I hope that everyone didn't just watch the first day with that nice trending environment where we got the big trade, the big money in. If all someone watched was that, then they're in trouble, because they did not see the last 2 days where we were in range city, bad signals left and right. Such are the markets, though. Let's round off all of the trades from the strategy in the journal. Journal here, let's check out the bottom line first. Doesn't make for pleasant reading. Negative $319. That's around about $106.33 lost every single day. 25 trades over 3 days. Definitely not shorter signals, that's for sure. The 1-minute chart will give that to you. And as we saw, day one started pretty nicely, lured us in with this particularly big trend trade here, $167.58. And you can tell this was more of a trending environment, not only because of the results, but we didn't have any trades that we had to close out because price quickly ran across the jawline. Pretty much they either went for the stop loss or went for the take profit. That did change when we came into day 2 though, and suddenly we got battered by losses in the morning and quite a few half losses in there as well. Those trades that we did have to shut down because price reclosed across the jaw. It's disappointing, but if you're taking every signal, those are the ones you're going to get as well. We managed to claw some money back late in the afternoon, but they were very small wins, 2 of them. Only one trailing stop loss really pushed it. And finally today, similar to yesterday, a lot of losses, a lot of half losses. Again, a lot of the trades were short as well. You can see even just from today's trades, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. These are very in and out. Our starting balance was $8,774.33, but after all those losses, down to $8,455.33. Still, at least by managing our risk appropriately with 1% capital risk per trade, we haven't seen our account totally collapse, but we still got a good sample size of trades to know exactly what we think about the strategy. So with that in mind, let's take it over to our final thoughts on it. I want to just start by talking about something that we struggled with in the strategy, which was when we were given the narrowest reading that we'd take from our ATR. With the stop loss at just 3 pips from our entry price, we were at times not actually permitted to set our stop loss at that distance. Now, we didn't find it a problem with any other ATR reading which came higher, but it does mean that you may want to increase the minimum reading that you round the ATR to, possibly to say 1.2 pips for a 3.6 pip stop loss. It's better, in my opinion, than having to worry about manually close the trade off where your risk level should be. Also, with such a tight stop loss, you'll likely want to find a broker with lower spreads than what we were getting in this one. You could tell from seeing both the bid price line and the ask price line how with such a low ATR reading the spreads would take around about 1/3 of the distance to the stop loss sometimes. Not ideal for the trade. For the core strategy though, I'm sure you noticed that much of its success or failure appears to hinge on whether your trading environment in the markets is a range or a trend, because when price was in a range, the results were an absolute tragedy. It is difficult for me to overstate how appalling the strategy performed in those circumstances. Closing our trades when we lost the signal from the Alligator by price recrossing did save us from a couple complete losses here and there, but it meant shutting down so many trades that we just got into because price suddenly hopped back above the jaw. This isn't only bad for the bank balance, but can also make the Alligator a very frustrating indicator to work with. We did see on day one that if you do get a trending environment, then it can potentially pull some good trades out of the bag, especially if you get some fortune and your trailing stop loss doesn't get knocked out by a retracement. But you will have to do some major tweaking to the strategy to make sure that you get those trending environments and don't end up in the range. Based on the performance of the strategy, I obviously couldn't recommend anyone actually try it out as is, and I struggle for any more suggestions without just removing the Alligator or making it an entirely different strategy. I'm sure many will blame the 1 minute time frame for its inconsistency, and I would agree that it probably doesn't help things, but I don't think that you could step onto the daily time frame and all of a sudden find great consistency and profitability. Not without those tweaks at least, because the range can happen on any and all time frames. So that is my final thought, that if you do want to trade anything resembling this strategy, then you have to find a way to avoid those ranges if you want to make any profit. No two ways about it. That's it for the strategy, but if you have developed an addiction to it, there is more information in the description. And a final word of warning that all of these trades were taken with demo money. Fear not, we did not lose any real cash on these trades, and nor would we without testing the strategy out first, which is exactly what we've done here. If you do feel like you have to go ahead and trade it, I'm not going to tell you what not to do. Thank you for watching. This is Project Trade. I am Adam Smith's final descendant, and there will be more.